Hi. Um, Today I want to talk about when I think I was 15, when Dad said that now is the time I should have a Saturday job. And he took me into Leicester. He went round just a couple of shops in Belgrave Gate. And we went into this wallpaper shop, and the bloke said, "Yeah, talk to me about it." And I can't remember what he said now. It wasn't very much. That he had a job up in the warehouse of the wallpaper shop, parceling up the orders of wallpaper. People would come in the shop and say they want 5 rolls of this and 3 rolls of the other, whatever it was, and it would be my job to find them in the warehouse and put them together, wrap up the parcel, and then send it down in a little lift to the shop floor. And he took me up to the warehouse, had a quick look, and start next Saturday. So it was £1.10, I remember the wage, £1.10. And so I had to catch the bus into Leicester, and I remember I used to buy a cheese cob every lunch for me, for lunch. It was like a big sort of double cob like this, and it had 2 cuts in it filled with grated cheese. And Dad said that now I was working, I could help with the household expenses, and I had to give Mum 10 shillings out of it. So by the time I paid the bus fare, the cob, and Mum, it probably only left about 10 shillings. But then 10 shillings was 10 shillings more than nothing at all, that's for sure. And you get to go out, and in a way it's interesting. It's something to do on a Saturday. And of course, if you want, you're in town, you can have a poke around, look in the record shops. You probably can't afford to buy one, but you can at least do that if you want, can't you? It was a moderately interesting job. You get these calls, you'd have to answer them, you have to write down what it is, go to the appropriate rack and fetch them, wrap them up. I had a bloke, an old bloke, to show me to begin with, and then he only worked on Thursdays. There didn't seem to be any extra work on Thursdays, but he worked only on Thursdays. So you got to chat, which is one of my favourite things, or was one of my favourite things. You talk to somebody old about how things were years ago, and you can see how they've changed. They still had at that time some rolls of paper that needed trimming. Now that was more difficult because we had a trimming machine. At the edge of the paper there was like a blank bit, which to protect the paper from damage in transit, and you had to cut the end bit off with this machine, which was a bit more difficult than might sound. You didn't just put it in, it had to be exactly right. So you actually very occasionally actually work in a machine as well. The more modern papers were wrapped in plastic. That's protected that way, whereas the older type were just loose. The lift was also a gadget to play with. You had a button, you send it down and up, but it gives you sort of sense of belonging to the world, I suppose. There was a delivery bloke who used to bring stuff from their warehouse, and that he used to bring the deliveries of wallpaper. When we were running short on something, you'd have to tell him you made a list, and then he used to bring it in his van from the warehouse, bundles of wallpaper. And he was like sort of rocker or whatever. He had the slick back hair and everything, and thought he was it. He used to all the time complain about the Asian population and how terrible they were, and how he told them this and he told them that, and you knew it was all lies. I don't know why he bothered. I had nothing against them at all. It was just how he was. It seemed to be his main conversation. I remember that when come the summer holidays, he said that I could work 5 days a week, and that was £6.50. Your instant reaction is, well, 5 days at £1.50 is £7.50. But it was fair, really, wasn't it? I suppose you've got 5 days, but then you actually get into a significant amount of money, I suppose. I remember thinking, surely Mum's going to ask for more, but she didn't. She just told me that I needed to save some of it. So that was definitely an improvement. But then I remember that he'd been told that he had to pay a national insurance stamp for me, and I had a part that I should pay, and that he would give me a Dutch rise, as he called it. That is, I would get the same £6.50 in my hand, but my actual wage would be higher than that to cover my my national insurance contribution. And at the time you think, again, give me a rise but you don't get any more money. But now my pension is actually higher as a result of this. And you think, all those years ago, you think it never matter, will it, really, paying in your national insurance stamp, but actually it does. So I just want to make one other comment about this job, is the incredible difference between working for a bloke who owned his own shop all those years ago and how it seems that working in a warehouse is these days. I mean, we had an order, we did it. We had no order, we sat and waited for one, basically. Tidied up a bit, sweep up. They did have rules like that. But there was no computer, there was no pressure other than how you felt yourself, that you wanted to do it as quickly and as well as possible, because you get more satisfaction that way. There was no need for any control, really. I mean, it was a new thing to me. It was an exciting thing. I wanted to do it right. And I did it as well as I could, and when there was nothing to do, well, you give it 5 minutes and then you do have a sweep up and there's still nothing to do, then you effectively have a cup of tea or something, don't you? And that was fine. Everybody was happy with that. When there was work to do, you did it. When there wasn't, you didn't. So at that point, bye.